Descendants. Welcome into Josh's Lore Lounge, where we dive deep into the storytelling of the first Descendant and try to make sense of its overall world lore. Today I wanted to focus in on two things regarding the bunny mission specifically. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide them up in the YouTube time cards for your viewing convenience. The first thing I wanted to look at is what lore and story insight we can glean from the bunny quest. And then I also wanted to go in and talk about the larger overall picture of why the bunny quest is so important and what it can mean for the entire game moving forward as we get new content in the future. So, let's dive in. Let's break down what actually happens in Bunny's quest so we can actually get a greater look at, what it means for the overall lore. It's the only story mission disconnected from the main campaign at the time of launch, and it mostly consists of fetch quests and completing random side objectives as Bunny, then returning to Albion to talk to several different characters. While the gameplay of the mission isn't particularly engaging, the story it tells is compelling in its own right. The story focuses on Bunny herself, still recovering from her encounter with Corel that happened in the prologue or the tutorial mission, being sent on a side objective by Alpha so that she can take some time to rest and regather her strength. This side objective is to recover the lost files of several forgotten Albion soldiers, including, as she quickly learns, her own parents. Now, Bunny was an orphan who was raised by her grandmother after her parents, Caden and Ember Voltia, vanished when she was a young girl. What she never knew was that her parents were secretly operatives in Colon, Albion's secret and elite special forces unit. They had been sent on a number of classified, high-priority missions regarding the recovery and transportation of a recently discovered relic of the ancestors. Ultimately, the pair found themselves alone with the relic with Vulgus surrounding them, and little to no chance of a proper evacuation. They managed to send out an encrypted file of all the data stored on the relic to Albion, so that humanity could benefit from the information, then agreed to self-destruct the relic in order to ensure the Vulgus never get their hands on it, as it seemed that the information held in this relic was a key towards controlling Archae abilities paired with electromagnetic forces. This information that they recovered would eventually lead towards the important technology required to make and run Bunny's suit, and quite possibly help the Magisters treat her after she paralyzed herself through electromagnetic forces as a child. They sacrificed themselves on Bunny's birthday, leaving behind a final transmission with the faint hope that one day their final words might be passed along to their daughter, who was actually named after Ember's love of rabbits. Funnily enough, we learn throughout this quest that Bunny actually hates rabbits and loves bears instead. After Bunny had recovered all those records regarding this forgotten operation, she enlisted the help of Anais herself in order to find the final location where the data had been transmitted from, where the Voltias had destroyed the relic and died to the Vulgus commander located there. This all had actually happened at the abandoned Magister lab, and Bunny went off to find closure at the spot of her parents' final sacrifice. There she did battle with the Vulgus commander who had slain her parents, an old and permanently injured and scarred Vulgus named the Shrieking Verves. After slaying him and recovering the final recording of her parents, Bunny returned to Albion to listen to her parents' final words. In it, they reminisce about their daughter and mourn the fact that they won't be there to help her throughout her life, and Ember actually reveals that she likely had Archae abilities somewhat similar to Bunny as well. After listening to her parents' complete send-off, Bunny returns to Alpha to explain that the data recovery is complete, and Alpha and Nell present Bunny with some of her parents' lost items that have sat in HQ storage for many years. Among them, Bunny finds a teddy bear that Ember had handmade and planned to give to her for her birthday, and is finally able to come to terms with the loss of her parents in full. As she processes this, she's surprised by a group of her fellow descendants who come out with a birthday cake to celebrate her birthday now in the modern day. A short celebration is held, showing the Descendants goofing off with each other in a beautiful cutscene that really highlights their humanity. And the story of Bunny's trauma regarding her parents is put cleanly to rest as the mission ends. So why does this side quest matter so much in my opinion? Well, the expansion on Bunny and her parents as characters is definitely cool. It doesn't have much of a greater impact on the overall lore, so it's not like the info of the mission itself is all that important. No, Bunny's quest's importance really comes from its implications on what it means for the game moving forward. This mission was not part of any of the betas, and was therefore a delightful treat when I unlocked Bunny and saw it on day one of the game's full release. The very existence of this mission as a Descendant-specific story implies that we are going to be getting more of these types in the future as the game expands and develops. One of my major concerns regarding the game prior to launch day was that they weren't going to give us that much of a characterization for the Descendants in the game, and that their lore wasn't really going to be referenced inside the gameplay. It would just mostly be kept to files outside of the game. This is clear evidence that that's not going to be the case. If we receive different Descendant-based story missions diving into their individual backstories, then their interesting individual lore can really become like a key note in the actual gameplay storytelling. And it can create all sorts of fun story beats and missions in the future. We could see a return to Room Zero as Freyno, where she killed a mutated monster version of her lover, or a quest as Glay to rescue her daughter Daya, who is being held captive by the Vulgus, or a revenge mission from Sharon to hunt down Arculus, who's the leader of the Order of Truth. Well, I'd actually, I think, prefer Arculus to be his own like final boss of an entire DLC, considering he's one of the heads of like the three primary factions we fight against in the Vulgus. But anyways, the story potential here is like near limitless, especially as they continue to add new Descendants with their own backstories to the mix. This gives me so much hope for the future storytelling of the game. I'm pumped up and excited to see where they take it from here. So yeah, that's all I have to say regarding Bunny's quest. If you've watched all the way through the video, you're clearly interested in keeping up with the lore and the story of this game. So make sure you drop down and hit the subscribe button to stay tuned as I continue to make videos about the lore of the game. And leave a like or a comment to give me an algorithm boost, as my channel's tiny and it needs all the help it can get against the terrors of the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you're thinking about spending money in the game for cosmetics or the battle pass, make sure you pledge a supporter using my creator code on the screen here, so that Nexon is forced to donate part of the payment to my channel. It would do a great job in help keeping me afloat and keeping things moving as we continue to develop and strengthen the channel here. Until next time, Descendants, may your legacy be one of courage and truth. I'll see you on Ingress.